We're playing tech support to friends and relatives. I'm sure most of us. There's something wrong with my computer. And hopefully Kevin will be able to sort something out for these people. Kevin Cornell is the CEO and founder of Voosh Technologies. And that's up next. And Kevin, if you're there, you can take it away.
You see me?
Absolutely.
Hey, what do you know? So yeah, thanks, John. I'm Kevin Cornell. I'm CEO and, as you mentioned, founder of Voosh Technologies. Um, the product you're going to see will officially be launched on Wednesday, July 21st. The product name is Voosh Active Continuous Optimization, kind of a long one. So you can shorten that down to Voosh ACO or even just Voosh. It automatically adjusts a Windows PC settings to increase performance and capacity. And this is where we change the Voosh noun into a verb, and it's like Vooshing your PC. By the way, there's no embargo on any of the data that you have. If you find it interesting and you want to release it immediately, please feel free to do so. Now, as you can see by my COVID haircut here, I've been around for a few years. In fact, I've got a 45-year, I wasn't going to put that in there, 45-year career in technology working in senior management roles, companies like Oracle, MIPS, Borland, and Finisar. And I also hold 4 patents in fiber optics. As well as I've also got 3 startups under my belt. This is actually my 4th. All have good exits. In fact, the server manufacturing company I started and sold in the late 1990s, it was a high performance one, is doing about $100 million in revenue up in Brampton, Ontario, Canada. Voosh ACO is built on the same framework as a product we developed for enterprise servers. It was called another geeky one, Intelligent Performance Tuning Engine. Now that application targeted underperforming physical and virtual servers. It evaluated how they were operating, what the assets were, and what the tasks that they were required to do. And then it adjusted those settings, and we were able to generate, on average, about a 30% boost in performance and capacity. IP was certified by IBM, Citrix, VMware, and Microsoft, and it worked with virtually any operating system, Unix, Linux, AIX, it didn't matter. And it worked in conjunction with monitoring tools. We took the monitoring tools that back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s would alert you, and we gave them the ability to remediate. That means things like IBM's Tivoli monitoring tool and Microsoft System Center Ops Manager wouldn't just simply say, hey, your pants are on fire. It would say, hey, your pants are on fire, but don't worry about it, we put it out. Luckily, the manager that was getting it would say, well, I knew it was on fire, so appreciate it. And those are still in development, being blended into those products. In December 2015, I sold my interest in IP and retired. That didn't work out so well. Here I am back again. And the reason is, when we were doing the IP enterprise class product, we had a workstation piece that we used to optimize the endpoints. And we used the same platform and techniques that we did on servers. We just applied them to Windows and Apple-based PCs. And I thought, well, what if we stripped just that functionality out and made it into a consumer product? Is there a market? That, if people start to work from home, they have to share their bandwidth with gamers and other people that are also at home. They want to optimize that access to that bandwidth. And they also want to access the power of the computer itself, because, as we know, computers are sent with default configurations to let them run at the lowest common denominator. So we just took a look at applying, again, enterprise class server-based technologies for optimization against a home PC. And we did not see the COVID-19 coming, where instead of 5 or 6% of your workforce is now working from home, maybe it's 90 or 95%. But I must say our timing could not have been better. So how do we do this? We collect a huge amount of data that is configuration and performance based on each of the devices that we manage. Some of this data we generate, some we get from other sources like WMI, we get NetStat tables, and we use the toolkit that we get from VinServe's measurement labs, M labs. We then take this stuff, with this amount of data, we correlate it, and then we apply our optimization algorithms to come up with a change set that when implemented as a group, and a complete group, it improves the throughput, the capacity, and the overall performance of the PC. Now, you can achieve exactly the same results that we do manually. The difference is you have to have access to the knowledge base, you have to have access to the information, and you have to have about 2 days to do the project. That's something that we perform in 2 minutes, and we can perform thousands concurrently. So now it suddenly becomes something that is usable and something that everyone can have access to. Now, the other thing is we have been discussing the type of data that we collect, the management data, the network data, and all the performance data, and we found that it's very applicable to network and infrastructure administrators that now find, again, instead of 5 or 6 or 7% of their workforce working from home, they've got 90 to 95%, and they have to be able to manage that and service them not in an enclosed environment, but out in the open. So how do you do that when everybody's coming from home, and how do you service them properly? So what we're going to be doing is we're working with another Santa Cruz-based company called Looker, to put a reporting and a management tool on the front of our database to give access to that rich data that they can then use, again, to run their networks properly and service their end users. So we hope to see that out fairly quickly, because there's no logic or processing changes. It's simply a reporting tool. And we're looking to have that come out at the beginning of Q4. Now, before we go further, let me just say, sort of in conclusion, and I'd hate to end on a negative note, but let me talk about some of the things we do not collect. And we're very strict about this. We don't collect any personal data of any sort. We focus only on configuration and performance data. We also don't do such things as clean your cache and fix your registry entries and defrag your disk drive. In the past, people have associated that with performance boosts. That does nothing for performance. We don't do any of that at all. But what I would suggest you do, if you're interested, see for yourself. For anyone that wishes to try Voosh out, send me an email, and I'll send you a fully functional 1-year key that will turn the system on, and you can take a look at it yourself. Now, let's see if I'll show you. I'd like to answer any questions that you have. But let me show you what the screen looks like. One of the things that we do is we sell performance. We set a baseline down, and the baseline is where before we touch anything, we lay out this baseline, and it says, okay, this is where you are prior to us having touched the system. Then we do the optimizations, and we show the delta. The delta is a percentage based upon an improvement of 4 key areas: on network throughput, on disk I/O, on memory utilization, and CPU utilization. And that's what you're buying from us. You're buying the improvement. You're bringing an enhancement. You're buying the access to the information and the power that you've already paid for. And that's why we show it to you. Now, the performance, the actual discrete numbers may be completely different. You can see down here in the disk drive, it went from 54 megabytes per second to 69. If you've got a faster system, it may be from 100 to 200. We're not worried about the discrete amounts. We're worried about the performance. That's what you're buying, an access to it and an improvement on the actual performance itself. It's available now. It's being released in 2 weeks, and you can buy it either directly from our website, vooshperformance.com, or through one of our resellers. Probably the most active is Interactive Corporation, that sells it through their Slimware division. So it's a unique product. It's bringing enterprise optimization services down to the consumer. John.
Cool. That's great. One quick question. We got a couple of people, but I got to ask one thing, because I try to fix people's systems, and then it turns out they don't have admin privileges. A lot of these people are using, laptops from the office or what have you. Do I need that to install that?
No, this runs as a service in the background.
Okay.
So it automatically has admin services as admin ability as a service. It's also silent. If you don't look at this, if you just leave it and just let it run, you don't have to do anything. The system does it on its own.
Gotcha.
So every 4 to 5 hours, it'll wake up and it'll say, okay, how are we doing? And it'll run an optimization. Or if you change, if you change environments. So I've got my home system. I have a home system that's optimized and baseline on my home network and the computer. I bring it in here. As it turns out, this network is slower than my home one. It did optimize, but based on my baseline,
Gotcha.
that's why I'll show it to you. So based on my baseline, it's a lot quicker, and it is running a lot better, but it is not fully. It doesn't fully optimize for. It's still running a little bit slower than it would be at home.
Gotcha.
So, but anyway, you don't have to do anything. The system will take care of it. It's a simple download, click and run, and then you can actually each license can be activated 5 times. So if there's gamers in the house and other people in the house, you can all use it.
Cool. We got a couple of questions. I'm going to let Terry as our first person up here.
Yeah.
Terry, go ahead. There we go.
Oh, I had thought I had lowered my hand. But my big question, and maybe I missed it, will this work with a Mac?
In 2 months.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, the Mac's about 7% of the market. There's about 1.6 billion Windows PCs, and we also do version 7, 8, and 10, and then there's a Mac version coming out. We actually we all run on Macs. So,
I thought I spotted that. Anyway, thanks, and I write for LA Times among other outlets.
okay.
Terry, that's great. I've got Herbert up next.
Hi, Herbert Shaw, the Shaw Report in Albany, New York. So I was looking at the what you have on the monitor. It looks very similar to a lot of the like anti-malware kind of softwares that you can get. But my question really has to do with the fact that my computer is a gaming PC. So it runs a little bit faster, has a bit more of an advanced graphics card than, say, my father's computer, which is also a high-quality computer, but it's 16 gigabytes of memory on a dual-core CPU as opposed to mine, which is 16 gigs on a quad-core. But my question is, how does the Voosh technology differentiate between those kinds of computers? Does it read through the actual the system itself in addition to the operating software?
So first, okay, when we do the network test, that's pretty straightforward. Again, there's a lot of it. So we take a look at latency and packet size, and we take a look at the send and receive buffer, the chatter, the chatter on the line, because you're all sharing the same network. And when you have a loaded network, you're probably overloading it more than they are. Then there's certain buffers and methodologies that you have to do to take care of that. There's a guy there's a number of bloggers online that talk to gaming people and to talk to, how to optimize for that. A particular one you may want to look at is Liran Segev. He's the techie guy. He has his own blog, and he took a look at his wife's system, which she didn't like using because it was pretty slow, Windows. And he had a gaming system that was water cooled. So if that should tell you how fast that thing was going. And he applied our application against both of them. His wife's, he said it was kind of funny because his wife ran it, and then it said some of the things you have to reboot for some of the Windows network things to kick in. So she went to stand up to get a coffee because when you reboot with her system, it takes a minute and a half. She said by the time she stood up, it had rebooted, because we also fixed that, because that's an annoyance. And all of a sudden, her computer became extremely fast. She said it was running 3 times faster. Now, that's an older, Windows 10, standard, strict, generic computer. His system, which is the water-cooled gaming product, we weren't able to do a 300% increase. I think about a 60% increase in overall performance. So he did it. So Liran Segev, the techie guy, he's got a YouTube channel, and you can see a video on that when he used our product to do that. He was blown away because he thought his gaming computer was as fast as you could possibly get. So there's always adjustments. Now, the other thing is, a strange thing is, if you think about it, these computers all come off a factory assembly line. right? They all get shipped all over the world, and there's, it's 1.6 billion of them. They get a generic operating system that is exactly the same. When we tune them, no matter what happens, no two are alike, because the environmental aspects of how you're using it, who else is on the network, who's sharing it, and what you're doing with it is always completely different. So everybody's tune and everybody's results are completely different. And for that reason, what we say on our website is, if someone wants to try it, whatever you do with it, a business, a gaming, or anything in between, download it, install it, try it, full function for 7 days, and then see for yourself. And even if you see some phenomenal numbers and you don't notice it in your day-to-day business, well, maybe it's not worth it for you. But try it. And we don't even ask for email addresses or credit cards or any of that stuff. This is a unique product. It's a very sophisticated product as well. And it's something that everybody can use. But yeah, check it out. I mean, see it for yourself, make your own decisions.
Just real quick, one last thing. Is it a subscription-based software?
Pardon, run that by me again?
Is it subscription-based? Like, do you pay for it annually?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Okay.
It's subscription-based. You buy a monthly, 6 month, or an annual. And then again, it starts to optimize. We've got it set right now to optimize every 5 hours. So long as your computer's on, it'll do it. And if it's turned off, the minute you turn it on, it'll do it. It'll actually lag about 5 minutes, so we don't screw up your startup time. And then it just continually does it. If you change, like I'm in a different environment. As soon as I turned my computer on here, it said, "Oh, it's a different network, a different environment. Better optimize for it," which it did. So and it does that automatically as well. So it does that for as long as you have the subscription.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Dude, we got Rob. Hey, Rob, how you doing? You're live.
Thank you.
Hey, Rob.
Miss you guys. So my question is actually a follow-up on his. This is Rob Peguerero. I freelance for Fast Company, USA Today, Forbes, and various other quality clients. You mentioned a Mac version coming out. macOS Catalina is notoriously picky about what apps can look where, even if you're just installing normal apps. So in that version and on Windows 10, where there are also all sorts of default security measures, are you going to have to disable any of those outside of admin rights to get this app to do its thing?
We're working through that right now. I will tell you, I had my neighbor Cully came over from Apple. He does all the Apple stores, and he was saying that Apple's been told not to come back into the office until January. So nobody in Apple's going to be back in the office till January. I told him what he did, and he said, "Get me a copy of it, and I'll get it over to the Apple, and we'll see about putting in all the Apple stuff." That could bypass. That could help me with a lot of support from Apple if I can give it to all the Apple employees.
Good luck.
Let's see. We're working through that.
Yeah,
And that's one of the things. We can also do devices. The cell phone devices, right? We optimize those. The problem there is you got to jailbreak them or root them, and the minute you do those, Google and Apple get a little tense. So we worked with Samsung over in South Korea, and they try to pressure Google to do it, and they also have their own operating system they sell up through China. Right. And then we just backed away and said, "Look, let's just focus on Windows PC." Windows is a very rich operating system. The engineers did a wonderful job on making it so that it could just take on anything and scream along. But by the time you get through legal, by the time you get through marketing, by the time you get through support, by the time you get through all the other things, that thing's watered down and locked down and just it's running at a third or a quarter of what it possibly could do. Now they do write books on how to fix it. They say, "Oh, here's all the ways to do it." And the first thing they say is, "Oh, by the way, but if you make a mess, you could really screw up your computer." And that's as far as people go. They just close it and move on. So we read the books. We don't screw up.
cool. Thanks a lot. That's great, Kevin. It's a good introduction to it. Remember, there are breakout rooms for everybody. They're already underway for the other two companies. You want to talk to Kevin, have more questions? I'm sure you do. It's been fun. I'm John Quain from New York, hanging in there. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks again for attending today. I'm going to throw it back to Dave to wrap up.
No, that's great. Thank you so much, John. I mean, I have to tell you, for me, this was a great show, and you did such a wonderful job with it. So again, thank you so much. I do also want to thank Mike and Lulu and Kevin for joining us today. Again, great presentations. I hope that everybody, all of our attendees, and I again thank all of you for joining us today, that you all enjoyed the presentations. On behalf of the entire Showstoppers team, Steve, Bob, everybody else, again, thank you. We couldn't do this without you. We want to, again, reinforce, please revisit us, revisit your emails, go over to the website, showstoppers.com, and check out the breakout rooms. The companies are going to be over there. They're going to be, answering questions. So I know that there were a lot of questions out there, and it was really great listening to these questions today. So, continue the questions, continue the conversations, check out the resource page off of the website. All of the press kits are there, through Dropbox. So everything is available. The bios for the speakers are there. Whatever you guys need, all the contact information is there. Just as importantly, we want to remind everyone, this is a continuing series. So we look forward to seeing everyone in future episodes with different themes in the near future. So stay tuned to what is coming up next on Showstoppers TV. Most importantly, just take care and be healthy. And of course, we look forward to once again welcoming everyone in person at a future Showstoppers event. So everyone, have a great day. We'll see you real soon. Thanks.